Welcome to Fantasia, home of the Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys another playtesting video. Now this time, we are gonna be working with our Ritual Melodious deck. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. Okay, so starting off, we are of course going to draw 5 cards, and now let's take a look at what we have. So we're starting off with a Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 2 copies of Ritual Sanctuary, Hymn of Light, and Preparation of Rites, and this hand is absolutely insane, not only because of its search power, but because of the field that we can establish with it. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and activate the Ritual Sanctuary in our field spell zone, and we're going to discard the Hymn of Light from our hand to the graveyard to go ahead and search for a ritual monster. In this case, I'm going to search for a copy of Cyber Angel Ben 10. Now, after I add the Cyber Angel Ben 10 to my hand, I'm going to go ahead and activate the Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites allows me to search for a level 7 or lower ritual monster from my deck, so because I searched the Ben 10 earlier with the Ritual Sanctuary, I'm going to search for a Saphra this time. And Preparation of Rites also allows me to go ahead and recover a copy of Hymn of Light from my graveyard because I discarded it earlier with Ritual Sanctuary, and now I pretty much have the entire ritual setup that I need in order to go for a summon. So I'm going to activate the Hymn of Light, tributing the Cyber Angel Ben 10 from my hand in order to special summon my Saphra from my hand. Now, when Cyber Angel Ben 10 is tributed for a ritual summon, I can go ahead and search for a light fairy type monster and add it from my deck to my hand, and in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and search for the Agent of Creation, Venus. Now, Venus is one of the best cards to go ahead and search for because we haven't used our normal summon yet. So I'm going to go ahead and normal summon the Venus and pay 500 life points to summon out a copy of Shine Ball from my deck. Repeat this 2 more times to get the other copies of Shine Ball out, and now you have a perfect setup to go for a Saryuja play. And Saryuja can go ahead and help us draw a bunch of cards and potentially see more hand traps or other disruptive elements that we can use as defensive measures against our opponent on their turn. So in order to do this, the first thing you have to do is link summon for a copy of Link Spider using 1 copy of your Mystical Shine Ball, and then with another copy of the Mystical Shine Ball, you're going to go ahead and link summon into a copy of Imduk. Now with Link Spider, Imduk, Venus, and the Mystical Shine Ball, you can go ahead and use all 4 of those as link material to go ahead and link summon for your Saryuja. So we're just going to go ahead and do that using all 4 monsters on our side of the field, and we're going to go ahead and summon a Saryuja, in which this case I am proxying because I don't actually own a copy of him right now. So when Saryuja is link summoned using 4 materials with different names, you can go ahead and use this effect to draw 4 cards and then put 3 cards into the bottom of your deck in any order. So after we go ahead and shuffle our deck, which is very important of course unless you want to get disqualified for cheating, then we're going to go ahead and draw 4 cards right there. We're going to reveal them to show you guys what they are. So in this case, we have a copy of Preparation of Rites, Hymn of Light, Called by the Grave, and Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And of course, the Ritual Sanctuary and Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit were from our opening hand, so those were just kind of there. Now, I get to choose what 3 cards I want to put into the bottom of my deck, so I'm obviously going to choose a copy of Ritual Sanctuary because I already have one, and I'm going to choose a copy of Hymn of Light because I have Preparation of Rites that can search it out. I'm also putting the Called by the Grave back to the bottom of the deck because at this point, if your opponent had a hand trap such as Ghost Ogre or Ash Blossom, they should have already used it by now, so there's no real point in defending yourself against hand traps, and also having Ash Blossom and Ghost Ogre in your own hand is definitely very, very strong for next turn. It's much stronger than Called by the Grave set to your side of the field. So we're going to go ahead and use the Preparation of Rites that we dug into to go ahead and search for a copy of Saphra along with the Hymn of Light. This allows us to basically go for an easy +1 here while putting extra spell cards into the graveyard for a Ritual Sanctuary to potentially use to Monster Reborn a light fairy type monster from our graveyard, so that's always kind of nice. Now during the end phase of this turn, I'm going to activate Saphra's effect to draw 2 cards and then discard 1 from my hand. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and draw into the copy of Sarvis and Cannon the Melodious Diva. I decide to discard the Cannon because Cannon could potentially be revived off Ritual Sanctuary on the next turn without using my normal summon, which is pretty nice. And of course Sarvis acts as targeting protection, which is pretty good. So having 3 hand traps in the hand along with Saphra and Saryuja on my side of the field is definitely very solid. Okay, so going into our second opening hand, it looks like we opened with a copy of Cannon the Melodious Diva, Aria the Melodious Diva, actually 2 Cannons, and then we also have a pre-preparation of rites with a Ritual Sanctuary. So we open with 3 monsters and 2 spells, which is actually not that bad. So of course, first of all, we're going to start off with a search. So activating the pre-preparation of rites, we're going to go ahead and search for a copy of Saphra and a copy of her ritual spell, the Hymn of Light. This is a very easy setup for any ritual plays, and now we're just going to have to pray to the RNG gods that we end up drawing into another spell card. Now, how we go for a draw, you might ask? Well, we did draw into a copy of Aria and 2 copies of Cannon in our opening hand, which means we can go for a rank 4 XYZ play. So the first thing I'm going to do is normal summon my Aria to my side of the field, and now because I control Melodious Monster, I can go ahead and special summon Cannon to my side of the field as well. Now here, this depends on what you have in your extra deck. If in the case in which you're playing Bujinte Tsukiyomi, this hand would have been amazing as well. You just would have set the pre-preparation of rites first and not have gone for the search. You would have gone for Tsukiyomi first and drawn 2 cards, then gone for all your searches afterwards. But because we're not playing Bujinte Tsukiyomi in our extra deck, we're going to go for Fairy Cheer Girl, and Fairy Cheer Girl allows us to go for a draw. So I'm going to detach the Aria the Melodious Diva, putting her into the graveyard so I could potentially revive her later with something like Ritual Sanctuary. Luckily for us, our Fairy Cheer Girl allowed us to draw into a copy of Terraforming, and Terraforming is a spell card, it's all we really needed, so we're going to go ahead and search for a copy of Ritual Sanctuary. Now that we have another spell card in our hand, we can actually get some value off of some searches. So what I'm going to do is use the Ritual Sanctuary that I just searched out with the Terraforming, and I'm going to activate it in my field spell zone. Now using the Ritual Sanctuary's effect, I'm going to discard another copy of Ritual Sanctuary, the one I opened up with earlier this turn, and I'm going to go ahead and search for a copy of Cyber Angel Benten to complete the setup for my ritual summons. It's very important that you do go for the Benten and don't just tribute random monsters in your hand whenever you can, just so you can get the search value out of her effect. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and activate the Hymn of Light, tributing the Cyber Angel Benten in our hand to ritual summon our Saphra to our side of the field. And of course, when Cyber Angel Benten is tributed, we can go ahead and search for a light fairy type monster and add it from our deck to our hand. Now you see that I passed the Venus there in my deck, and the reason why I didn't actually search for her is because the fact that, well, we already used our normal summon for the turn, we used it for our Aria. So in this situation, I'm going to actually go ahead and search out for a copy of Honest, and Honest is definitely a very powerful hand trap, and the reason why Honest is better than just searching out another random Melodious monster or anything of that sort is because Honest can help protect not only Saphra, but also Fairy Cheer Girl, and if Fairy Cheer Girl can survive for another turn, then we can get an additional plus off of her by getting an additional draw, so we're definitely going to be adding that from our deck to our hand. Now during the end phase of this turn, I'm going to go ahead and use Saphra's effect to draw 2 cards and discard 1. So I drew into a copy of Mystical Shine Ball and another copy of Cannon the Melodious Diva. So in this situation, I would just go ahead and discard the Mystical Shine Ball to the graveyard, keeping the Honest and 2 cannons in my hand. The 2 cannons can go ahead and act as rank 4 materials for my next turn, or potentially even help me go into link summons, and of course Honest is there to help protect our 2 monsters on our side of the field. So going into our third opening hand, I open up with the Hymn of Light, Pre-Preparation of Rites, Saphra, Benten, and Cannon. So this again is a extremely powerful hand, and I should be able to establish an amazing field with this, especially because I opened up with so many ritual combo pieces. So the first things first, I'm going to go ahead and activate my Pre-Preparation of Rites to go ahead and search my deck for a copy of Saphra, and of course her ritual spell, which is the Hymn of Light, yet again. Okay, so adding that to my hand, I now have the perfect setup for a ritual summon because I did open up with a copy of Cyber Angel Benten. And with a setup like this, I could potentially establish a really strong field because I do have a Melodious monster in my hand already, so I have the option of going for Venus, or I have the option of going for something like Soprano, which could open up XYZ plays or potentially fusion plays. So using the Hymn of Light, I'm going to tribute the Cyber Angel Ben 10 from my hand to ritual summon the Saphra to my side of the field. The placement of your Saphra doesn't really matter, as long as you're not really putting her above the extra monster zones, because sometimes you might want to summon things like Underclock Taker, which have down arrows, and you wouldn't want your Saphra to be blocking the way of that. Okay, so summoning the Venus that I searched out with the Cyber Angel Ben 10 in using her effect 3 times to summon out 3 copies of Mystical Shine Ball from our deck. Now the reason why I didn't go for a Melodious monster in this case is because if you can go for Venus, you typically just want to go for, well, Venus. And the reason why is because Saryuja is such a powerful card. Being able to draw 4 more cards is incredibly strong, and it allows you to help you go into a lot of your other plays. Now if you draw into something like your Soprano or even another Melodious monster in your deck, your cannon in your hand immediately becomes live, and you can go ahead and make rank 4 plays or potentially fusion plays depending on what you drew into. Keep in mind that Saryuja also has the effect to special summon a monster from your hand to your side of the field once per turn, which is also very strong. So using the combo that I talked about in the first opening hand, the first example that we did this video, we go ahead and summon Saryuja to our side of the field. Then we're going to, of course, activate Saryuja's effect, and before we draw, make sure you shuffle your deck so you don't get disqualified. Just you know, simple things in life. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cut our deck before we draw to simulate our opponent cutting our deck for us, and we're gonna go ahead and draw 4 cards from the top of our deck. Okay, so now it's time for the grand reveal, and there we go. What do you know? We drew into a bunch of Melodious monsters. It's as if Melodious monsters are a part of this deck. So I'm adding the other 3 cards from our hand to this pile of cards. We drew into Soprano, Cannon, Terraforming, and Cyber Angel Ben 10, which is absolutely fantastic. Now I'm choosing to put my duplicate copy of Cannon back into my deck along with Soprano, and you might be wondering why we're doing that, but that's also because the fact that we opened up with another copy of Hymn of Light, Saphra, and Cyber Angel Ben 10, which means we can go for another ritual summon. And if we go for another ritual summon, we can go ahead and search with Cyber Angel Ben 10 yet again to grab that Soprano that we just put back into the deck and add her back to the hand. Now, you saw that I checked the graveyard before putting the Terraforming back into my deck, and that's because I want to check to see if I had enough spell cards for Ritual Sanctuary to be useful. But in this case it was not, and I'd much rather have a fusion monster on my side of the field. So I went ahead and just put the Terraforming back. Now I'm going to go ahead and Ritual Summon for the other Saphra, tributing the Cyber Angel Ben 10, and like I mentioned earlier, Ben 10's going to go ahead and search out for a copy of Soprano from my deck and add it to my hand. Now in this case, I'm going to use Saryuja's Special Summon effect to Special Summon the Soprano from my hand to my side of the field. I'm doing a quick graveyard check right here to make sure, to see if I have any Melodious monsters in my graveyard that I could potentially, you know, add back to my hand using Soprano's Special Summon effect, but there doesn't seem to be any, but if there was, we would get additional value from it. Now that we control a Melodious monster, we can special summon the Cannon from our hand to our side of the field, and then using Soprano's effect on the field, we can activate it and fuse into a copy of Shiberta, the Melodious Maestra, so now we have an incredibly strong field. Keep in mind that Saryuja also boosts the attack of any monster that's summoned into any of the link markers that it points to, so that's very important. Shiberta now sits at 2700, and the Saphra that's in the middle right under the Saryuja is at 2800. Unfortunately, the first Saphra we summoned was summoned before Saryuja was on the field, so she's still at 2500, but we have some really good beat sticks on our side of the field. Now during the end phase, I'm going to activate Saphra's effect to draw 2 cards, and then discard 1. So I drew into a copy of Preparation of Rites and a copy of Cannon the Melodious Diva. So of course, the natural thing to do is to discard the Cannon and then keep the Preparation of Rites, because that automatically helps set up for a ritual play on my next turn. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Melodious content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.